Knees and toes.
The shoulders have to do with anything.
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into a special edition of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Today, we welcome broadcaster for the Saskatchewan Rush, John Fraser. John, thanks for jumping on with us, and how's it going?
Of course, it's going great. Actually, it's funny. Inspired by my appearance tonight, we're having buffalo wings for supper. So I figured it was fitting. No, it's a good night. Got some wings waiting for me when we're all done, and it's not too cold in Saskatchewan. I hear the weather's not so great in Buffalo tonight, though.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a little bit warmer for the walk from the parking lot to the game on Friday, but we're getting through it. We're almost into March, so March to May is upon us. And with that, what would be one word to describe the Saskatchewan season so far, 11 games in?
One word: perfection. I know they've got the blemish against Ottawa, and Ottawa's a sneaky good team that I think some people are sleeping on, but how can you argue? 10-1, and some of these wins are just in dominant fashion, like hanging 21 on Las Vegas. I get it, it's Vegas, but you know how hard it is to win in this league night in, night out. Never mind going a 9-game heater against like legitimately good teams, right? And there is no nights off in the NLL. So yeah, perfection just about sums it up. I got to say it. I mean, if you're a Rush fan, you couldn't be any happier.
Yeah, and even that Ottawa one, I think they led the majority of the game, and Ottawa came back in the second half, if I remember correctly.
Well, they did, and it was just one of those weird early season games for a veteran club that just couldn't quite find the next gear, but that's the one blemish on the record, and if you're losing your one blemish is to a Jeff Teat-led team, that's not a bad blemish to have either.
Oh, yeah. So I think perfection's the good word to transition into this next question, because to me, I've been saying it all season, this is the most complete team in the NLL right now. From top to bottom, coaching staff, front office, there's really no area where I think there's a weakness. No. But do you feel this team is set, or do you think that they could be making some calls to improve an area of this team with the trade deadline approaching in like less than 2 weeks?
I think obviously up front and in net they're set, right? You've got Frank Chiliano, Thomas Kaisak, who to me is going to be the next great NLL goaltender. All the forwards, you're not messing with them. I think depending on how long Holden Garland is out, I know having Jarrett Smith come off the bench is a bit of a luxury, right? You're having another guy that could play in the league every single day that's in and out, but to me, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a move for a defender, but the tricky part is, lots of fans here, go get Kyle Rubish, go get, see if Chris Corbeil's still kicking around, but the speed at which this Rush D plays, you got to get somebody young and fast, and those guys don't just grow on trees.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's always nice to have the depth in case something pops off, but you also risk do you bring somebody in and then it doesn't fit, or when you got all healthy bodies, what do you do with the extra guy then? So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot to be in. Maybe I would like to see them maybe find a veteran D-man. I don't even know. I don't want to throw names out there. It's so tough in the NLL, right? Because everybody's basically still fighting a playoff spot unless you're Calgary, and I don't think Calgary is going to give us anybody. So it's tough. I would like to see them add one more defenseman, though.
Yeah, I think that's the one negative the Unified Standings has had, is everybody's so close to being in it that the trade deadline's affected a little bit. But last year, no player up and over 80 points, and I'm sure you've heard this multiple times, but I always like to say if Robert Church didn't miss those couple of games, he would have been up and over 80. But you had 4 guys that were in the 70s. This year, 4 guys are projected up and over 80, and Ryan Keenan's projected over 100. Does Saskatchewan have the best collection of offensive talent across the league?
It's funny. I was thinking about this one a lot today, and I would say the Bandits are maybe not level, because I'm trying to find the 4th guy for Buffalo, but I think top 3, I think it's Buffalo and Saskatchewan. You've got other teams, like you look at Ottawa, you've got Jeff Teat there, who's a 1 with a bullet, right? You've got the other guys on that team as well, but I think in terms of depth, I think so, yes, because you look at a guy like Brock Haley that could be a shooter, could be a right-handed shooter on just about any other team in this league, and he's mucking and grinding out there, right? And the thing I like about the Rush offense this year is last year I think they were too friendly. in a way. It was like, no, you score. No, you score. No, you score. Now, how about you? And sometimes they threw in that one extra pass, and it seems like this year with Keenan stepping his game up to another level, it's been, no, this is my team. I'm going to score these big, meaningful goals, and you got Zach Mans in the same spot. Like, what do you do? What do you do if you're defending them? Right? They're down one or they need one late. What do you do? So I obviously am biased. Obviously some bias, and I would love to hear other people's thoughts, but I would say yes.
Yeah, I agree because of the depth part of that. It kind of reminds me similar to Buffalo. I don't think you have the same guys that can pop off for 130 like Byrne and Smith, but you're deeper where any of those guys can pop off for 7, 8, 9 points a night, where Buffalo only really had 2 guys, in my opinion, that could do that. So I definitely think they're the deepest and probably the most rich of teams in the offensive side of the ball.
by miles. And like I said, you see, like, if Robert Church, if he had to miss a game, if he's at home with his little one, if he's, daddy's not getting any sleep, you could put Brock Haley in that shooter spot, and he could pop off for 9, right? Like, it's just the depth is crazy. And if you're just a casual observer, even Clark Walter could enter the game. I mean, you look at the 2 games Clark Walter's played, he's been outstanding. Levi Anderson's coming out party. Like, it's just, even the unsung guys this year, to me, are a little bit closer to that core 4 group than last year. Because last year you could basically say, okay, if it's not, you can shut down those 4 guys and let the 5th guy kind of take you. That doesn't work this year.
Yeah, so the top 5 guys from last year have returned. That's not something most people around the league can say, especially this year where so many offensive pieces switch teams.
Yes.
How much do you credit their success this year on offense to the similar style of play and bringing back the same top 5 scorers from last year?
Oh, it's absolutely massive, because training camp for Saskatchewan this year was less about identifying who is playing where, and it was less about position battles. It was more about installing the system and making guys better at that system. You knew who the top rush forwards are going to be. You knew who was breaking camp out of there. Maybe there was a couple questions, on the back, out of the back door, but we knew what the rush offense was going to look like. And you really saw that in training camp when the team was like, okay, here's our systems. Let's get really good at them. I know a lot of you guys have played it. And let's face it, in a sport where everybody's, for the most part, you still have lots of guys that are weekend warriors. You saw it with your squad. You saw it with Buffalo, in the championship runs, the back-to-back-to-back. It was the same key guys. And if you've got those guys together year by year, it's such a huge advantage, because you're not working in new pieces. Because as everybody knows, you might practice on a Friday night with a shoot-around on a game on a Saturday, if you're lucky, if the travel gods work out, and you might be able to install a tweak or 2. But yeah, it's absolutely massive having that continuity for the squad.
So I was hard on Ryan Keenan to start last year. I was writing my power rankings, and I kept going like, where the heck is Ryan Keenan on the stat sheet? And then he started popping off in the second half. This year, it started from the get-go. Now, if it weren't for Brett Dobson and doing Brett Dobson, like, numbers that nobody has ever seen before, do you think Ryan Keenan would be one of the favorites to win MVP?
And this is going to be spicy, and people are going to call me out for this, and I'm okay with it. I think if everybody that voted on MVP watched the games as closely as you do, as closely as I do, as closely as I'm still going to say a majority of the media that vote on the MVP watch the games. I'm not sitting here calling everybody out, but there are a few people out there that have MVP votes that just go ahead and go, yeah, Jeff Teets had a great season. He's got all this. But I think if you watched every game, Ryan Keenan would get some love. I still think behind Dobson, behind Jeff Teet, especially if Ottawa makes the playoffs, I'd even say if Buffalo's able to surge back and make the playoffs behind Dane Smith, I think he's in the mix. I would if I was a betting man, like if you could post some MVP odds, I bet you he's probably the 4th favorite on CoolBet or something like that right now. So to me, he's in the conversation, but I wouldn't bet the farm on him winning it, even with the season he's had. But if you watch his game and everything he does off the ball and everything he does, and if you're truly voting for the most valuable player in the league, to me, if you watch Rush games, you move him up in those rankings.
Yeah, we did our mid-season kind of who we thought were some of the players that would be worthy of a finalist vote, and he was up there for me. He was in the top 3. And that was a couple weeks ago, and it's just strengthened since then. But a guy that you mentioned earlier, Brock Haley, he comes over last year before the season even begins with Vancouver. I'm thinking Vancouver last year might have wanted him with their struggles on offense, but the offense for Saskatchewan is split perfectly. I mean, you have 2 high-power righties, 2 high-power lefties. So Brock Haley isn't asked to do very much. How much do you attribute Haley's success on not being asked to do too much and being able to learn the off-ball things that you need to learn in this league? So in the next couple years, when Church phases out, when Ryan Keenan phases out, and he steps up, he has more weapons in his arsenal to use.
Brock Haley is probably on any other team a 70-point guy right now. Like, it's just, and the fact that he's accepted that role, that he's doing the dirty things, he's getting to the middle, he's creating havoc with that wicked shot he's got, he's a 70-point guy, right? Like, I really look at him and I see a really young Robert Church, because that was Church. I mean, Church still does it, even as he's been in the league for a while. Church is still out there mucking and grinding. And if you watch the games, you're really seeing, you know, Brock Haley go out and do those exact things. And to me, he's a really big part of this offense, even though, again, on the stat sheet, you're going to look and be like, hey, this guy should be scoring more. And if you put him on any other team in the league, he's probably at worst the number 2 option for their righties. And man, he's outstanding. It's going to lead to him being a complete all-round player. And like you said, another generation, another Derek Keenan. If I'm a GM in the NLL, and I've said this before, I ain't picking up the phone if Keenan's calling me.
Oh yeah, you see that area code, you're like, no, I'm busy. Hanging.
You see that? I mean, he's tricky though, because he's still got his Southern Ontario phone number.
There you go, pouncing it off radio towers. You never know who's going to call. But last one for the offense. Yeah. Who to you is an X factor in this offense this season? Now that can be somebody that's you mentioned Brock Haley mucking it up in the middle, freeing guys up, or one of the bigger guys.
Yeah, 100%. To me, the X factor has been Haley, but another one to keep an eye on. And a guy, admittedly, even on the broadcasts, I've expected more out of, and I've said it, is Levi Anderson. And you saw that last week. You know, this is a guy that people thought preseason he was going to be Rookie of the Year. And people like smart people like Teddy Jenner are saying this guy could be the Rookie of the Year. And he comes out and it's not a great rookie year. Well, now in year 2, it's been the same. It's kind of been this slow build until you saw last week against Vancouver that he was the X factor. He was the guy. So now now this allows the Rush, they've got so much flexibility. You can now go with a 3 lefty look. Right? You can have Keenan, Mans, Anderson, and who do you stop, right? You can go with the 3 righties. You can go Shanks, Haley, Church, right? Like, they're able to do so many different things with the emergence of Levi Anderson and his continued growth. Like, again, it's a cheat code. Like, who do you stop? You can bring out different looks. You can mix up your righties and lefties. Like, it's phenomenal what he has brought to the table now as he's emerged as a sniper.
So doing my prep work for this interview, I went to your Instagram and I saw you were off the 1 week last year for TSN when they were in town. I saw you were on the Mechanical Bull. So it's a 2-part question. Okay. How long did you stay on the Mechanical Bull? And secondly, I'm one of those, maybe I'm one of the few, I don't actually know. I love the content that Saskatchewan puts out for social media. I know some people think it's too edgy or whatever. It draws people in and I love it. But can I assume the atmosphere in the building is as crazy as some of those social media posts are?
100%. It is. And as the team has really taken foot, there was 2 things that happened post-COVID, right? Obviously everybody's got wallets got tighter, and B, the Rush, you know, they were in a period of transition. And I should say 3, ticket prices had kind of priced some people out of the market, right? I mean, everybody wanted a piece. The ticket prices went up. Now I can tell you all those things have been corrected. Obviously, there's an absolute wagon of a team. Ticket prices are back down. It is becoming far more of the atmosphere it was pre-COVID. I can tell you, off camera, I was 7 seconds on the Mechanical Bull, and then the operator got real mean on me when I got on camera and was like, yeet. Down goes Fraser, and it was about 3 seconds in the video. But I did, in an unaired run, make it almost to the 8-second mark.
I'll believe you. I'll believe you on that one. But
you should. I'm sneaky athletic for a fat guy.
Love it. I've never done a Mechanical Bull. It's on my things to do, but I don't typically go to bars that have them.
Neither do I.
Maybe next time when Saskatchewan has it, my wife will fly me out there and I'll just do that.
Let's go. You can say, look, I got a spare room right behind me. That's where you can put up your head. You might have to put up with the Rush jerseys hanging up, though.
That's fine. I like the color. The elk carrying machine of a man, Mike Messenger, is doing Mike Messenger things again this year. To me, he's got to be up there with Zach Currier for Transition Player of the Year. Even Jake Boudreau. Is Mike Messenger the glue that holds this team together as a unit?
And it's funny because Mike is such a quiet guy, right? He's not the raw leader. And it's funny, you look at the offense, you look at the defense. The offense, Ryan Keenan, Robert Church are well-spoken guys that are going to fire the guys up with words, but you're damn right. On the back end, Messenger's that guy, and he does it. He just leads by example, right? He goes out, he smashes you in the face, he causes turnover, he soaks more shots than anybody on this Rush team, and he does it effortlessly. And you're right, for fun, he carries elk. And another thing that I love about Messenger is, since we drafted him, he spent a lot of time in Saskatoon. He's actually moved to Saskatoon. And to me, that's a huge thing. His dog comes out at practice sometimes, and, he's really embraced the city. And I know Zach Mans has done the same thing, but for the stars like that to move to this city and embrace it and make it theirs, that's huge. But yeah, Mess is the silent leader. It's funny, the entire back end is guys like that, lead by example guys. I think of Haas being another guy. Meanwhile, your front guys are, let's, tear the paint off the walls, locker room video kind of great stuff. But the back gate, they just do it. And I would call him the glue. That was another one I went, who else would it be? And it's nobody else on this team. And it's Mess. And again, this guy has looked like a mean 35-year-old man since we drafted him. I'll never forget meeting him the first time. I'm like, who is this guy? Oh yeah, he's our pick. I'm like, oh, do we pick 30-year-olds? Sorry, Mess, I love you, buddy.
It's like that scene from Benchwarmers where the one pitcher just shows up as I am
12.
Yeah, exactly. When people talk about the Rush and their defense, they think of Hossack, they think of Barnable, Boudreau, Mess. But who is a guy that you think should be talked about more and included in that group of four?
Adam J. Which goes again, I've said it on air and I will say it again. Never pick up Derek Keenan's phone call when he wants to trade with you. Considering that he was managed to turn Mark Matthews into Zach Mans, Adam J, and Levi Anderson, that's absolutely ridiculous. The most one-sided trade in professional sports history, right? But I think especially when Adam first got here, people watched and he hadn't quite grown into himself yet. And you can tell there's a difference. Even though this team is a wagon and they're winning, without Adam J, they just lose a little bit of something on the back end. And to me, he's a guy that doesn't quite get the attention. But as soon as he came back from his upper body injury, that's when you really saw them holding teams to 30 shots. It's just that defense is so complete with him. And he's not a guy that gets a lot of love. And even a guy, again, I was hard on when we first got him, going we traded the at the time all-time leading goal scorer for this guy and then he develops into this great elite defenseman that just flies under the radar. So yeah, watch Adam J next game, especially with holding Garland out. He's really stepped up to that role that Garland has, that hole that Garland's left vacant.
You said it perfectly when you said Adam J comes back and they limit teams to 30 shots, because this team is limiting opponents to under 46 shots a game, which is the league best. Yes. What do you see in their game that helps keep that number low? Is it limiting the inside chances? Is it gathering those loose balls? Maybe even the offense that is getting second and third chances that is limiting the shifts that the defense has to have?
Yeah. They are so fast and they just pressure you. Right? No, there are no clean open looks. The second you're against the boards, you've got somebody like a Messenger, a Hossack, creating legal violence, right? That's the thing. This team is right on the edge with their physicality. And more often than not, you just see the ball gets thrown around the outside and somebody doesn't get a clean look. It gets soaked. They miss the net. You don't get a lot of shots against this Rush team, right? And that was one thing, actually, I was so impressed with the Vancouver Warriors. They were able to get inside on Saskatchewan. And not a lot of teams do that. And the other thing, too, with Saskatchewan, it's like a boxing match, right? You might get inside on them, but you're going to take a body shot. And you're going to take a body shot. And you're going to take a body shot. And next thing you know, you're down 4 goals. Are you really going to take that shot to the ribs to get in there? I mean, you've got some of the toughest players in the world, and it's just shot after shot after shot after shot. We're humans. We don't want to go where we get hurt. Our brain tries to actively avoid that. So I think it is. If you are playing against the Rush, you better get the ice bags ready because you are going to have a very long night. I think that's the biggest component. And then, you get to face off against the all-world goaltender when you finally get through.
Yeah, that goaltender is Prison Frank, and he finally broke through that wall last year and became that consistent goalie that I feel a lot of people felt was really the only thing holding him back. What's insane is his numbers this year are even better than last year when he won Goalie of the Year. Is he not getting enough overall attention for his play this year? And I know you got Brett Dobson and Dylan Ward and Frank Christian Del Bianco, but shouldn't Frank's name be right up there with him?
Well, and Frank's game has evolved this year as well. On top of having better numbers, one thing he really worked on in the offseason is that outlet pass, right? Like, he's dropping dimes and some guys. I mean, he doesn't do it at the level that Christian Del Bianco does. Nobody does. I mean, my love of CDB is very well documented, right? I love that guy as a goaltender, but I think Frank is the rock. You watch... If you've seen it on the Rush social media where they're in the room after the game and the guys are celebrating, who's the first guy every time? Frank. It's Frank. He's the rock, and it's amazing. You've seen the change in his game from the time he got even better after he had his first kid. Like, it's wild. It's almost like that put everything in perspective, and Frank's just been unbelievable, right? Again, he's probably not going to win Goal of the Year this year. I think his game is better this year. It's just, again, you said it. Some guys are having just bananas land seasons. Like Brett Dobson has just been absolutely incredible. Del Bianco, I got to watch CDB last week, and there's so many great goaltenders in the NLL now that I think Frank is going to fly under the radar this year, and that's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can still use that underdog mentality and they're still counting us out kind of thing. But I know when we were setting up this interview, you said you were curling on Monday, and that's why we couldn't do it on Monday. How did you get into it, and what were your thoughts on the overall curling in the Olympics and how that ended up?
I got into it by being a Canadian kid growing up in a middle of nowhere town, right? About 10 years old, out in old Atikokan, Ontario, starting with the duct tape on the slider, and... it's funny. I played a lot more hockey when I was growing up, but curling's always been my first love. And as I grew into adulthood, I realized I'm like, hey, I'm actually okay at this. So I caught the bug. I was 10. I used to remember whenever the Brier and the Scotties, like the men's and women's national championships were on. By the way, U.S. national championships going on right now. So if you want to watch a little curling, you can find that going on right now. Go Team Schuster. I'm a big John Schuster and Matt Hamilton guy. I've had a few beers with those guys over the years, but yeah, I got into it young and I love it. Now for the Olympics, the whole booping the stone thing was completely overblown. That was completely overblown. I can tell.
You gotta love the
memes
free. Now, though. All the memes that came out of it.
So good, and you'll love this. You'll love this. I think my favorite one was seeing the Photoshop Mark Kennedy pushing that Nathan McKinnon shot away from the U.S. net. Yeah. I even had to laugh at that one, even though I'm sure Nathan McKinnon is still waking up in cold sweats. But I thought it was great. It was a great showcase for the world. All attention is good attention, right? The U.S. programs really impressed me, right? Both in mixed doubles. I think you guys are going to have another wagon with Team Casper and the women's team to make the playoffs as well, to make the bronze medal game. Like, that's huge. And for us here in Canada, I mean, on the men's side, we did what we expected to do, right? The expectation in Canada is gold medal or bust, and the women's team to medal, because actually it's funny. If you look, the Canadian men's team has medaled in all but one Olympics. The women's team hasn't quite burst through, and that, again, just shows how competitive the rest of the world is. I love that people get introduced to the sport in the Olympics. Go to your local club. There's going to be a Learn to Curl. There's probably curling on at your local club, and like I said, U.S. National Championships going on right now. But I love the sport, and this might get me in hot water. I love curling more than anything, even lacrosse. Curling's my number one. Try it. It is way harder than it looks, but it's a great social event, and you can crush a bunch of beers while doing it.
Yeah, for any Bandits fans that are listening down in Buffalo, Riverworks, or not Riverworks, Canal Side, right down there. They got a little setup for curling down there.
Oh,
so
perfect.
Yeah, right
okay,
outdoors.
I'm bringing my gear when I come visit you then.
There you go. It's right down the street from the arena. Bandits versus Rush, Friday night in Banditland. It's a rematch from last year's finals.
Oh, yes.
I mean, what type of game are you expecting to see out of these two teams that haven't squared off since Game 3, and it's Game 1 of a 2-game series this year?
Well, I've been with the Rush outside of a year or two where I took a little leave since 2016. A chance to go ahead where Cornwall scores. That was me, right? And every game between these two teams since then has been a battle. I think there's a rivalry there because, let's face it, they've been at or near the top of the league ever since they came in, right? I think you're going to see physical. I think you're going to see a hard-fought game. And I think the Rochester Nighthawks are going to be the beneficiary. Of course, with Saskatchewan playing twice, literally, you have to go to Banditland and then to Rochester the next night. You know that game in Banditland is going to be hard. That building's absolutely electric. You know what? Saskatchewan fans might be mad. Colorado fans might be mad. That is the best building to watch lacrosse in the league. I will concede that. I got the privilege of calling games there. One booth beside Johnny. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe the atmosphere, right? Just go, it blows me away. But we're going to see physicality. We're going to see scoring. And I think Vino is going to go old school Vino because, let's face it, the Rush would like to win this game. They would like to avenge last year's loss, but I think Buffalo needs to win this game. And they need to, just again with the unified standings, I get it, every game is big. I don't want to say the Rush can lose this one. You never want to see your team lose. But the Bandits need it more than the Rush, and I think it's going to be an absolute slobber knocker. It's going to be a tight game, and it's going to come down to probably the last 2-3 minutes or a power play goal here or there.
100%. I fully agree, but the only disadvantage is they have not had very much success when I've been in the press box the last couple of years. I think they're 1-9 when I'm there, whether it's in Buffalo or on the road, and I'm going to both games in the press box this weekend. So if you're betting, bet against the Bandits this week. Sorry. They might stop asking me to go.
But you know what's funny, though, because I'm notorious for cursing teams. In fact, there is the Fraser curse, and I've picked against the Rush so they would win games just because the Fraser curse is that powerful. So we might actually see some sort of cataclysm with both our curses conflicting. So if the universe ends, we both apologize.
Well, it'll be ending, so we don't really have to apologize that way. What area of Saskatchewan's game do you think they have the edge over in the Bandits, either fully outright or the most of?
I would say the most of would be on the offense. Right? It just comes down to, Dane Smith is Dane Smith. Right? Burn is Burn. But after that, who's your third guy? Who's your fourth guy? The depth's not quite there. Right? We saw it with Saskatchewan. Vancouver's defense was able to essentially somehow take away the big four for a big chunk of the night. So Levi Anderson goes, okay, I'm going to have a 5.9. Right? Brock Haley's going to score. Right? I think if this Rush defense can isolate on Smith and Byrne, which again is no easy task, who's the guy that steps up, right? I think defensively they both play very similar. I would put Frank Chiliano ahead of Matt Vince, and I love what Vino has done. He's just maybe in the twilight of his career, right? He's been a great goaltender for so long. Hell, he's one of the few guys I can watch in the league and go, hey, he's older than me. Right? As I approach my 40s here. So I think offensively they have the advantage. But again, you said it. You've got the two guys that could go off for 10 points and basically will Buffalo to a victory.
What battle are you most looking forward to watching in this matchup? It could be, Naso versus Farrell. It could be Messenger versus Byrne, Church versus Desnu, Chiliano versus Vince. What one is going to catch your eye when you're watching this on Friday night?
Face-off all day long, because Jake Naso is an angry man.
He's one of the few ones in the league that can get the best of Jake Withers over and over and over.
I know. It's absolutely, and it's because Jake Naso turns every face-off into a scrum. It is physical. It is strength on strength. It's I could just watch Jake Naso do face-offs for 60 minutes. Just because it's so entertaining. If you really focus up on what he's doing, and I love it when they go long and finally, the cameras are able to zoom in and give the attention to what a battle that position is. I'm looking forward to it because to me, the entertainment's off the charts. From a wider perspective, I'm looking forward to see, okay, can the Rush contain the big guns of Buffalo? What's going to happen there? They're going to be physical. Messenger's going to want his pound of flesh. So I'm looking forward to seeing that offensive matchup. But again, give me just 60 minutes of Jake Naso fighting guys at the face-off dot. Please. I would watch that on repeat.
I love it. Just two more for you here. For the Rush to get the win on Friday night, what needs to happen?
I think they need to start quick. There is only one thing this team has consistently done poorly this year, and it's start quick. And I know they've been saying, what can we do to start quicker? What can we do to start quicker? Well, the difference is when you don't start quick in a lot of other venues, the crowd is, respectable. Right, you're looking 7,000 to 10,000 people, out in a building built for hockey, it seems, and it just doesn't get the same tone. Buffalo gets on a roll. They get the first 2 or 3, and you've got 18,000 strong, seemingly straight above you, cheering. And, Rush Nation shows up on the road. Buffalo is not a place that they show up a lot. Right? You're going to have the friends and families from Southern Ontario, but even Saskatchewan's roster is mostly comprised of guys from Western Canada because of how hard it is to get a flight out of Saskatoon. So to me, if you want to beat Buffalo in Banditland, you need to take the crowd out of it. And I'm not saying you need to start up 5-0. You can't, you got to score the first goal. And even at the end of the first quarter, to me, you got to be tied. You got to be tied or leading, because if not, that crowd gets behind them. Banditland just becomes so effective. And one thing I love about Banditland, they know when to get loud. It's the opposite of football. You get loud when your team's on offense, and 18,000 people know how to do that. And I know we're not allowed to prompt anybody to do that, like in public address or anything, but Banditland knows it. It makes communication so hard. So to me, the Rush will win if they finally start strong, and if they don't, this one could look real ugly in a hurry.
Last question, and similar to last year, it's got nothing to do with the guest, and it's got nothing to do with the sport, and it rotates every week, so no guest has the same question, so you can't listen back and prepare. If you could create a new rule in life that everyone had to follow, it doesn't have to be a law, it just has to be everybody knows the rule, what would that be and why?
Before you speak on it, you must have at least read about it, right? The number of people that speak like they know everything and they know nothing. The false confidence. I saw this on Facebook, and it's an AI video. To me, it would make everybody's lives easier. You just took a minute, you listened, you learned before you spoke. That is my rule. It would make life so much better if we all just did a little research and listened a little better to everybody out there.
I love it. I love it. I went with I saw yours, and then I was like, left. Mine has to do with shopping carts. I don't do well in grocery stores with people. One, if you're gonna leave your shopping cart, don't leave it in the middle of the aisle, because my wife hates when I do this. I've been known to take that shopping cart and put it in a different aisle if you're just going to leave it behind in people's way.
Thank you.
So there needs to be
applauso.
There needs to be a dedicated spot to, so like if you're in aisle 18 and you forgot something in aisle 3, that's fine. You can leave your cart where it is, but it needs to be a designated spot. Second thing, you got to put the cart back in the store, the cart corral. You can't let it blow all over the parking lot. That would be my thing, is shopping cart etiquette.
No, and I, you know why I went super philosophical? But you're right. You are absolutely right on that shopping cart etiquette. I will second that all day long.
Join me in moving people's shopping carts. Then we'll start.
I'm going to do that next time. Yeah. I legitimately have thought about, or the people that park the cart and then like they dilly-dally on the other side of the aisle, so you can't buy either them or their cart. I have pushed carts out of the way before. Oh, yeah. I've like a curling stone, I've yeeted them down with perfect draw weight.
We'll start a movement. John, thank you for joining us on the Buffalo Sports Collective. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you and anything else you might want to plug for the listeners?
I'm still on X, Blue Sky, Instagram at FraserPXP. I've got a football podcast to do, Canadian football podcast, so it's a little obscure for all you out there. We talk curling, Canadian beer, Canadian football, and of course NLL on TSN, NLL on ESPN, and on NLL Plus. Myself, Cody Jansen, Heather Morrison. That's where you're going to find us doing every Rush home game.
Perfect. Thank you again for joining us on the BSC. Hope to talk to you down the road and continue success with everything you're doing.
Thank you, my friend.
We will be back Thursday Thursday. I'm remembering when this is coming out. We'll be back Thursday to preview Bandits versus Rush. We will talk to you all then.